Aloha, it's Katie and I'm a junior studying information science at Cornell University. If you've been watching my videos for a while, number one, I love you. Number two, you'll know at the end of every semester I like to recap the classes I take to give you a glimpse of what college life is like, but maybe even help you in deciding your classes or what to study. I have a really wide range of interests, which is why I'm in the College of Arts and Sciences, but these range from product design to creative writing to entrepreneurship to, as I mentioned earlier, like data science. And every year I also make an effort to take all of the popular classes at Cornell that are well known. So like the ice cream class, I eventually want to take the wines class. I also tried beginner skiing. So if you're curious about those classes or what Cornell is like, then make sure to check out my first 4 videos where I talk about the classes I took for every semester in my first year and second year. This semester I took 4 courses. For each course, I'll start with a summary, the list of topics we covered, an overview of the workload, and then end with my final thoughts about this class, whether I recommend it, and what the online experience was like. First class I took was Info 2950 Data Science. This class was a required course for my major, information science, and I'm also planning on concentrating in data science, so I took this class quite seriously. The goal of the course is to help you make arguments using data through a combination of statistical methods, data processing, and real-world knowledge. The core semester-long project will involve multiple phases of data collection, exploration, programming, and statistics, and we will also focus on the dangers and limitations of data and modeling. Topics we did include data frames in Python, regression and linear modeling, clustering, hypothesis testing, probability and simulation, networks, matrix factorization, and data visualization. Workload, I would say, was pretty heavy, but that's also because I did a lot of it on my own. Normally for engineering courses, I do it in study groups with my friends, but because I was in the Philippines, all my friends were in New York, Bay Area, I did most of the assignments on my own, and I do not regret it at all. Actually, this class really helped me gain confidence for my programming because I was forced to like sit there and debug all the problems I had. Like I really had to think on this on my own, and so I think that's what made me even prouder, is I know that everything I accomplished in this class was like me. The class meets twice a week for lecture, once for discussion. Every week there's one homework assignment, and we also usually make some progress on that semester-long final project. And what our group did is we looked at how songs went viral on Spotify and TikTok. We analyzed the correlation. We tried to build linear models to predict the popularity of a song on Spotify or TikTok, and then we tested our models. Grading was 50% assignments, so all our homeworks every week was like at least 5% of our grade, 45% final project, and then 5% participation. What this class actually looked like doing it remotely was I did not show up to lecture at all, like any time. Another reason for that is I had another class at the same time, so it's so dumb. Actually, it's not dumb, I would think it was smart, but basically there were 2 classes I wanted to take, and they were both at the same time at 1 p.m. New York time, and I was like, well, since both of them are 1 a.m. my time and I won't be able to make any, can I take both? Because I can just watch the lectures asynchronously. Yeah, I know. Anyway, we got approved, so that worked out. I did attend the discussion section though, which was with my professor, and it was at 8 a.m. But lucky for me, 8 a.m. is 8 p.m. my time. Right before the discussion section is when I would watch all the lectures, like all the 3 hours worth of lectures I would watch right before on the Friday, I remember. So it'd be like, discussion would be at 8 p.m. and then at like 4 or 5 p.m. I would watch all the lectures and I would have discussion, and that was literally, I just did data science all in one day. And then I would do my homework throughout the week. I would check with my friends, and then I wasn't able to go to any office hours because of the times, and so I'd also just ask my friends, and they were great. Okay, next class I took is HADM. It's a hotel administration school at Cornell at financial accounting. This introduction to financial accounting covers the preparation of financial statements, from transactional analysis through journal entries to financial statement presentation. We will do in-depth analysis of receivables and payables, revenue and expenses, and major balance sheet items such as inventory, investments, long-term bonds, capital stock, intangible and intangible assets. We'll also discuss ethics in accounting and business. That was a mouthful. Topics included were business investing and financing decisions, balance sheet, income statement adjustments, time value of money, bonds, owner's equity, and cash flows. The workload for this was average to heavy, and that was because it was just so much was due every week, so it kind of forced my brain into thinking about this class very often. The class met twice a week for lectures and discussions combined. It would be like homework would be due on the Tuesday, and then on Thursday we would have an in-class exercise where we had to work in groups and submit something, and then throughout the week we'd work on the homework, you know. The workflow for every week was we'd have one homework assignment, one class exercise, and we also had one prelim every month. Like this class was ridiculous. Like we had 4 prelims. This is the most prelims I've ever had in a class. It was another 8 a.m. class, so it was good for me while everyone showed up dead and like groggy with no video on. I came and I was like, I am ready for this class, my first of the night. And also the funniest part was the group me chat where everyone was just ranting about this class. But yeah, the professor was really nice. He was really generous with the grading. Like, he actually allowed retakes for 3 of the tests as well. But, you know, it makes sense because, dude, like, the online thing is hard enough. You know, people were failing, and so it would make sense to encourage these people by giving them another chance. And also, it's like, it's online school. It's hard to hold people accountable to the same level if they're not getting the same resources. Overall, this class took a lot of brain space. I learned a lot about business, and it got easier throughout the semester. Like, at the start, I was like, what is this? And the homeworks were so long too. Like, I really had to start them 2 days ahead. And I say that really seriously, by the way. Like, starting homework 2 days ahead is early for me. And I was like, I just started early. But then throughout the semester, I got back to my normal habits of like starting it the day before and then it being fine. So, and also another reason I was able to do this is because I actually showed up to class on Tuesday and Thursday. So my brain was actually processing things and I could do homeworks much easier compared to, let's say, data science. I would watch all the lectures on the same day, and so that's why homework took me longer, because I actually had to absorb the information. So there you go, 2 different ways of studying, up to you. Third class I took, Info 4940, Computing and Global Development. Today, most computing technologies have primarily benefited urban, affluent, and literate people in developed regions by empowering them with more information, resources, and agency. These technologies currently include billions of people worldwide, such as rural residents, people with disabilities, and indigenous communities who are too poor to afford modern devices, too remote to be connected, or too low literate to navigate the mostly text-driven internet. This course introduces students to the field of ICT, or Information and Communication Technologies, for development. Students will gain understanding of socioeconomic, cultural, and political forces that impact technology adoption in low-resource environments, and will learn to design, build, and evaluate inclusive technologies to empower marginalized people. I was so friggin' excited to take this class because, as you know, I grew up in the Philippines. It's a developing country. Especially when COVID first hit, I was just so grateful, to say the least, that I was able to continue my learning online. Like, yeah, the time zones are not ideal. You know, in the moment felt brutal, but like in my greater country right now, people aren't even able to continue their learning because it's been so disrupted. And that's one reason my friend and I started this nonprofit in the summer called IBlieve to help IB students who haven't been able to continue their learning, well, you know, have been really overwhelmed. But that is why I was so excited to take this class, is because I wanted to learn how to use technology that's so at our fingertips and use them to help the people who need it the most right now. Because seriously, the last thing I want to be worried about is like, what? A grade? I get that it's important in my career, but like, other people's livelihoods are being drastically affected right now. And if my grades are the only thing I care about, I'm just like, that is not the life I want to live. What was really fun about this class is every week we would look at a different topic. So we did poverty and development, agriculture, health, education, finance, markets, politics and misinformation, social media and activism, security and privacy, connectivity, and AI and gender. Now, the workload for this was pretty light, but also maybe it's because I enjoyed it. The class meets twice a week, once for lecture, once for discussion. There'd be about 2 to 3 research paper readings a week. We'd have 1 quiz to test the reading, and then 1 activity. So this activity was like whatever the professor wanted. Sometimes we'd look at case studies like Google Loon or Microsoft Airband, which were both projects to improve connectivity in rural areas. We also had a final project, which was another semester-long project. My group looked at education in the Philippines, which I pitched to them because I was like, I would really love to use the brain power of the states right now to help my country. They were awesome. We specifically looked at how to support teachers because we believe teachers were really under-supported right now, and they were a very key part of the education system that is honestly often overlooked. We conducted real interviews, did literature reviews, and we followed the double diamond design process to build a solution. The grading was 30% quizzes, 30% activities, and 40% the final project. So what this class actually looked like, I stopped showing up to lecture about halfway through the year. It was around when daylight savings changed, because before this class started at like 1 a.m. for me, and because I was like really gung-ho about this class, I was like, yes, I will stay up till 1 a.m. like I want this. And then daylight savings hit and the class started at 2 a.m. and then finished nearly at like 4 a.m. and I was like, I can't do this, sorry, like I'm out. The last class I took is English 3840, Poetry Writing. This course focuses upon the writing of poetry. It may include significant reading and discussion, explorations of form and technique, completion of writing assignments and prompts, and a worksheet peer review of student work. Topics we did were image, metaphor, repetition, rhythm and meter, sonnets, history, legacy, and also 5 collections of contemporary poets. The workload was very light, but also it didn't really feel like work. It was very therapeutic for me. I never considered myself a poet. Before then, I would write like Rupi Kaur-esque poetry, you know what I'm talking about, like IBlieve, all those Instagram goodies. But only when I took this class that I was formally like, oh my gosh, I actually love poetry, and I feel like it's like a whole new language to speak in. Oh, this is gonna really deep. And also my professor was just amazing. I got into this class quite late, like a week late. She had already started a bunch of the units, but she let me in the class, and I'm so grateful because this is like one of the best blessings of my life this year. The class met twice a week. They were all discussion sections. The workflow was we would have weekly readings, so these would be poems, collections, or articles on how to write poetry. Like we read Why Poetry by Matthews Bruder. We also had to do responses to poems. To be fair, it was only one time, and she was not happy with us because it seemed like we had not done the reading, and so she had made us write like a 1,000 word response that day, but then the next day she was like, I've forgiven all of you. I mean, we still had to submit it, but we never had to do another response after that. And then we also would do weekly writing, so we'd write a poem every week and she would give us feedback. Throughout the class, we would also do small group sharing, so we would be put into like breakout rooms of 3 or 4 people. We'd share our poetry that we wrote for the past month with our peers to get feedback and also hear what other things students were writing. Oh my gosh, the best part was we had guest poets too. So you know those 5 books I mentioned that we read? Oh my gosh, my professor's like connections, like she hooked us up with all of these guest poets, and they came to our class and did poetry readings. They told us about their poetry writing process and like all the deep stuff we had analyzed, and we got to ask her like, were you really thinking about this? And you know, some of the answers are like, no, like it just came naturally, like yes, y'all were just overthinking. But you know, I think it's also the beauty of poetry. You get to give the poem meaning however you interpreted it. So I love that. As for the grading, I have no idea. It's writing. It's as abstract as the poems I write. But to be fair, based on the previous English classes I took, I would guess it's a combination of your participation in class, your progress, like how you grow throughout the year, and also the final collection we submitted with our top 10 best poems of the semester. And honestly, I really like having classes that are graded this way because I feel like most of my other classes are very technical. Engineering and mathematical courses, they're very much like there is one right answer, and after every test you get, you will get a score, and that score is going to be average, and then you're going to have this final grade which gets converted. You're going to have this number and it's going to get converted to this grade. And like, yeah, it's like that's how grading works. But I also enjoy that in this class I did not know my grade at all. The first time I had an English class, like that scared me because I was like, how am I doing in this class? Like, what is my grade? But then over time I was like, actually, I don't care. It really makes me focus on what we're doing in that moment, on learning, and it's so much more peaceful because I know that I am actively just trying to be a better writer, and in the end, like I'll get rewarded for it. And actually, my best grades in college have been my writing classes, which is really funny because I thought I was a really bad writer. But I guess my professors don't think that. And even now, I started just reading poetry on my own. So like one of the guest poets were like, you all should just read one poetry book a week and that will change your life. So I'm like, okay, 2021, I'm gonna read a poetry book every week. I'm currently reading IBlieve. There's like a special place in my heart for that kind of like very sing-songy poetry, but also I have been looking into some classics as well. So Robert Frost and Langston Hughes, very funny and amusing poets. And what I think was so dope at the end of the year is one of our classmates suggested we all share our final collection of poems, so we got to read everybody else's work, and I really appreciated it because I feel like writing can be sensitive and it can be very personal, and I respect if somebody doesn't want to share their work, but I also really appreciated that our classmates clearly like trusted each other and like took that leap of faith and shared their work with everyone. And it, you know, it inspired me to do the same, and in the end we had like 10 collections of poems, and it's been super entertaining to read it from their view, and to also know that these are peers who I go to class with every day, and it's like it's so personal and so intimate to be able to read people's poetry. So I'm just like, wow. That was it. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe because I do more videos like this every semester. I also do a ton of videos on college life, Cornell, especially because maybe I plan on going back in the spring, maybe. Subscribe if you want to find out. Share this video with a friend if you think they would find it helpful, and let's keep in touch on social media. I'm at AlohaKittyX on Instagram, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye guys.